Greetings, this is Dr. Chavonne, your host of Leadership Edge. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. Can you believe it, you all? We are finally coming out of the month of April. We're already in May. Boy, I tell you, this year is flying by. If you're not careful, it's going to whip by and you're going to have those shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and you got to get yourself back on task if you haven't been on task. Well, I'm excited about this episode because our topic today, change is your superpower, embracing growth as a woman leader. Guys, this topic came up to me because I was having a conversation with a friend and I noticed that we were talking about some stuff and I kept saying, I heard the Lord just saying, change. You got to be willing to change. And I'm here to tell you, change is inevitable. Life is about change. Think about it. Just 5 years ago, we are in the month of May. And just 5 years ago, we had the COVID shutdown. We were still pretty much shut down in May. Everyone didn't shut down, but then there were rules that we had to follow that for instance, I remember my mom was just talking. She said, girl, remember when we would go to Costco and we had to wait in line and they had put, what is it, little markers outside because you could only be so close to one another. We had to wear masks in places. I remember with Costco, they will only allow so many people to come in at a time. Remember those things? I mean, even down to every store we went to, come think of it. I even told mom, I said, think about it. Back then, they started cleaning our buggies. Remember, they would spray the buggies down? They don't do that now, guys. Change. Everything is about change. Life is about change. And many women in leadership or entrepreneurship sometimes feel stuck, and not because they aren't capable, it's because they're resisting the necessary thing, which is change. How many of you had your business, it was flourishing before COVID, but then COVID hit and you weren't willing to shift and change? And I'm talking about where you may have done face-to-face training and development, but now you couldn't do face-to-face. You had to do it online using Zoom, Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams. But because you were hesitant to even use those apps, you ended up losing business because you weren't willing to change. Think about churches, leaders who before COVID, you may have had a social media account, but you just didn't actively use that account. You had to change because most churches, not every church, because everyone didn't fall into the whole fear that was being put out there. And I'm just being real with you. We're not getting into a whole spiritual, scriptural thing on it. But there was a fear that was being promoted. And every church didn't shut down like some churches did, where they shut down completely. They went solely online. But think about those churches who were not using social media, who were not using Zoom. And what happened? Your church ended up faltering. It didn't last because you weren't doing what you needed to do to shift as the times and the seasons and things were happening that was causing that change. So today, I want to help you break down and show you how change is actually your superpower. Let me tell you, I've had to have a shift. I've shifted from my entire what I was pursuing entrepreneurship wise, guys. I started out wanting to own a salon. This is back in my early 20s. It didn't, I loved it. I said I wanted, and I always said I wanted an upscale salon, but it didn't happen that way. Technically, because I was a stylist, I was a contract stylist. And so that meant, or I should say commission stylist. In a way, it's like you're a business within a business, but when you're commissioned, you're still almost like the employee of the owner, but not quite as in depth. And so it didn't, things happen in life. It didn't work that way. And I've tried many things, like I said, all those, what they tiered network marketing. And I finally said, no. I even franchised, family on the franchise. And I learned, okay, franchising, not really for me, but I'm going to tell you, if you're going to get into franchising, come together in a investment group to do it, where you can get multiple franchises together, where the profitability could potentially be higher. That's what I'm going to tell you. But if you are looking to be a full-time entrepreneur, leaving that 9 to 5, you have got to be willing to change. Resistance hinders. But if you learn how to take that resistance and follow it with transformation, that occurs before you can embrace change. But if you can learn how to overcome the resistance that you have, so you need to really identify why you're resisting it. Then you, by identifying it, you experience some transformation and you can embrace that change. Because as I said before, change is inevitable. It's happening all the time. So going back to me, I knew I've always felt ownership in me. Guys, I'm an introvert by nature, but I have seen myself blossom to where I've been given opportunities to minister to people. I've been in a pulpit. Never would have thought in a million years I would be there, but I knew I wanted something on my own that I could leave as a legacy. So finally, it took someone telling me after I had done something for him, motivating him, and say, "You just coach me," and I never thought about coaching. And I've noticed that I do. I love training. I love development. I love empowering. I love when people say, "Oh, I have this business idea." I just start rolling things off of my mind about, okay, you can do this, you can do that. I love that kind of stuff because unlike a lot of people, I believe, so sorry to say this, if you're offended, oh well, you'll be okay with it. American dream. I believe in the small business owner. I wish we could be in a situation where we have that small business ownership within our communities again, where we have fresh grown food, where what we used to call the mom and pop stores. The heart is the small business. Regardless of what we think, small business, I believe, still dominates outside of corporate. We still dominate. You still have a lot of small business ownership, and I'm going to always empower those who are small business owners. There's a cost to the resisting of change. I'm here to tell you, resisting change could lead to missed opportunities. Think about opportunities that could have knocked on your door that you just missed. Think about opportunities that knocked on your door that you missed. We have a confession in our church every Sunday where we say God is gonna make us give us multi-million-dollar ideas. How many times an idea come to mind and you talk yourself out of it? That could have been your multi-million-dollar idea, but you talked yourself out of that opportunity for whatever reason you did. Maybe it was the fear, how you were going to do it, who were you going to connect to. Well, I'm here to encourage you. When that opportunity or that idea come to your head, write it down. Seek the Lord on it. Okay, God, I have this idea. How can I bring this into existence? Because you want it to come into existence in the time and the season that He wants it to come in. Other things that resisting change can lead to is burnout from doing things the old way. Hey, look at the story of Kodak. If you read Kodak, Kodak had developed a digital camera in the 70s. But because Kodak had an old business model when it came to leadership and their stakeholders, they valued what the stakeholders wanted versus of what this technology could have done to them in this near future. Because once again, 1970s, that's the 20th century. Now we're in the 21st century. As a result, you don't even hear about Kodak anymore. The once pioneering, dominant when it came to film and camera is no longer dominant anymore because they didn't find value in what was being created because they were wanting to stay and do the old way. Losing relevance in a fast-paced market. What are you doing to reinvent yourself? What are you doing? Ask yourself, what am I doing that keeps me and what I'm offering as a service be relevant? We're in a fast-paced market. I mean, even now, people like you think about t-shirt business. Well, it used to be you had to go to someone who actually had that business, but now you can go on Amazon, you can get your own machines, do your own printing. How do you continue to compete with someone who can do it on the side? And it's not to say you can't have many people who make t-shirts. I'm not saying that. But what are you doing to make your business stand out and be relevant? Lack of innovation and leadership. That goes back to Kodak. Their mindset. They had an old mindset, an old business model that they wanted to continue to follow. And as a result, by the 90s, where digital is taking off, film makers were no longer ordering that Kodak film anymore. They were doing things digitally, cutting costs. But if Kodak had taken hold to what they had created, and if they had monetized it and got it to a place where, oh, we're going to offer you the best digital resources ever, Kodak would still be in existence. We don't want to be like Kodak. We want to continually to remain relevant. We want to continue to have an innovative mind. So I encourage you, seek God first in all that you do. And when He gives you those ideas of how to make your business continue to grow, do it. Don't resist that change. Think about it. Think about it. Think about a person who didn't go digital, a woman who didn't go digital in the pandemic, like I shared before. All it took was getting a Zoom account. Even Zoom had to increase what their capacity to be able to handle what people were doing and to be able to offer better service because more people were going on the platform. Number 3, the power of embracing change. Refrain from change as growth, not loss. Change is growth. When you allow yourself to change, you grow. Think of change as a form of self-respect and evolution. You're not meant to stay the same. Even as kids, what we did in our 20s, we shouldn't be doing in our 40s, and we definitely shouldn't be doing it in our 50s. That's the evolution of aging. Aging is not bad when you grow. Aging is bad when you continue to do things you did as a child. Even the Word of God tells us that. We did things as children, but at a certain point, we shouldn't be doing it anymore. Evolution is good. You can't become the next version of you while clinging to the current one. I had to accept that fear was not the death of me. Fear of failure was not the death of me. Fear of failure could not hinder me anymore. Failure was a lesson that I had to learn, which means I had to do some self-reflection as to why I failed in that area. And from that self-reflection, now I'm able to see, okay, Chavonne, you have to give yourself those pep talks. You have to keep yourself encouraged. It's good to stay connected to like-minded people so that they can encourage you. Because what? You don't want to cling to the past, because what you're trying to do in the present is supposed to propel you to the future. So, am I a success story? Yes, I am. I truly believe I am. I have come a long way. As you can see, when I formed my company in 2016, never in a million years would I have thought by this point I would be where I am. I have been surrounded by women who have been in their entrepreneurial endeavors for over 20 plus years. They can speak to the highs, they can speak to the lows. They inspire me to continue to press forward, because even though I may not be where I want to be, I'm a lot further than what I was before. I'm more grounded. I am more self-aware. I have done self-reflection, and I continuously do self-reflection, which I encourage you to do. And I speak life. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. I speak it. I spoke it at I was being interviewed on a podcast, and they asked me, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I said, a full-time entrepreneur. So that was about, I think, 2 years ago. So I got 3 more years, guys, and I believe that it's going to come to pass. I've heard it spoken to me, and I have to do my part as the leader of the business idea, the business venture. And when I'm consistent and I show that I'm consistent, God honors my faithfulness. And that's what I want to encourage you. So here's some practical tips to get comfortable with change. Change is not a hindrance, guys. It is not a hindrance. Start small. Try changing one process or habit a week. Change your morning routine. Maybe you don't get up and have that quiet time like you should. Give yourself some quiet time, 15 minutes, before you get into the whole hustle and bustle of everything you do. Try a new marketing strategy. Maybe you have been, I'm surprised in this day and age, still not really caring about social media. Well, try one. Try one platform. They have many of them. And I'm here to tell you guys, I had to get myself into social media. But try one platform. You got LinkedIn, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got TikTok. I think we still have TikTok. What else do you have? Twitter or X or whatever it's called. Try one platform. Do your research. Find out which platform may be the best platform for your business. I think Pinterest. You can even pin on Pinterest as well. Get curious and not fearful. Ask what could go right instead of what if it fails. Find out what could be right. What could go right in you doing this particular task or this particular activity. And for every right you get, document it. Because if you document that right, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm sitting here moving with my hands. Use your journal. Document what you see that you've done right. Keep it in front of you. So when the failure comes in, you can say, but I did right in this session. I got it right here. I got it right there. That motivates you. Surround yourself with change makers. Like I said, it takes a village. A friend of mine said in my prayer group, you got to have your faith tribe. You got to have some strong people that's standing behind you. I got them. I got those who got that 20 plus years. That's what you need. You need the ones that's been in the foundation, been on the journey long enough that they can speak to you. They can empower you. Then you need those newbies. You need those in between, because somewhere in there you can inspire and empower them as well. Be in the rooms where people normalize evolution. And I'm not talking about the evolution they say. I'm talking about as we evolve, as we develop, as we grow, we evolve. So I'm going to ask you this as we close out. What is your brave next move? You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be brave enough to take the next step. What's the next step you're going to take? What change are you resisting right now? If it's laziness, get up off your behind and get to work. If it's procrastination, get up off your behind and get to work. And what's possible if you embrace it? So, what change are you resisting now? And what's possible if you embrace that change? What will be the result? I encourage you to write it down and commit it. One bold step this week. What's that one bold step you're going to do? Share it in the comment sections. I would love to hear from you. Email me at Chavonne@globalleadershiptechniques.com. I would love to hear from you. What is the brave next step that you're going to take? So if this has resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with another woman or share it with many women who are ready to rise. I always say we want to become unstoppable. And remember, you were built for growth. When you learn, you accept, you move, you allow change to happen, you grow. You were built for greatness. You were built for greatness. Remember that. You were built for greatness. And I want to encourage you to connect with me. I would love to hear from you. We are on social media, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Global Leadership Techniques. You can visit our website at www.globalleadershiptechniques.com. Also, down in the comment section, you will see where I have put a link for you to schedule your free 30-minute Become Unstoppable discovery call. I would love to talk to you further, to find out where you are, to provide you with some tips on clarity, and also to share with you the various coaching programs that we have. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Leadership Edge. And once again, I pray that you have a blessed week full of God's divine favor and overflow blessings. Have a great week.